guys, we all set? Okay, Utah State head coach Jerrod Calhoun. Coach, if you just want to open with thoughts on the game.
I thought, first of all, hopefully their big fella's okay. Jorgensen, he is, in my opinion, one of the most improved guys in the country. So things changed drastically game plan-wise when he was out. But I felt really good going into the game. Thought we had a great week of prep, and our kids played lights out.
You say you play like you practice. You must have had some really good practices because that start was really good. And maybe that was probably your most complete game this year.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of factors in this, right? We've had a lot of conversations about playing for the uniform, not yourself, sharing the ball, honoring the past, the history. I think all the great programs out there have a history of great teams. With every team, there's roles. Guys have different roles. I think what happens in college basketball now, everybody transfers because they don't like their role and they think it's going to be a significant jump. And you got to play to your strengths. That, to me, is what your role is. And I thought tonight, guys played their part, they played their role, but they did that throughout the week, and they were rewarded by their hard work.
You're trying to sell that when you're talking to the guys about that. How important is it that you can point to the general public showing up like they did today and say that, that's what this place kind of means?
Well, it's a different deal around here. I've said it all along. There's very few men's basketball programs in the country on a Saturday afternoon at noon with no students can sell the place out, right? How many people can say that consistently? How many people can say that they have one of the best, if not the best, student section in the entire country? So our guys are well aware of that, what this community does for our team, the way they've stepped up, right? The Jim Blobs, the Jonathan Bolins, the Tom Willises. This roster would not be together. Ken Alder, if we didn't have the help from some donors, right, and different people that really cared about our team. So we're 20-2, I think, now before the break in 2 years, and I think Coach Sprinkle only had one loss. So you're thinking it's about 30-3, if I'm not mistaken. That's pretty good 3-year run. But before that was Ryan Odom, pretty good run. Before that was Craig Smith, and obviously Stu. So my message to our players is it's bigger than any of us. We have to honor those teams, and we're not going to screw it up. And I thought tonight we really, really shared the ball, and we showed we can be one of the best defensive teams in the country. And if we guard like that, we'll have a shot.
Your defensive intensity has been good. You've played good defense, but I thought that first half.
Yeah, they're hard to guard. I told him in a handshake line that I wouldn't overreact. He's a great coach. He's got veteran guys on that staff. Dave Filipovich, I've known for 25 years. He was Richard Pitino's, assistant for a number of years at New Mexico. I think when Jorgensen went out, that played a big part. But I think a lot of credit goes to our guys, right? And Colorado State has beat good people. They beat South Florida, so when you guys asked earlier in the week, does that affect anything, right? Because we lost to them, they beat them. You see today is a prime example of every day is a journey, right? Every day has a different chapter. And today's chapter was about the right things, and it was about team.
I want to ask your thoughts on kind of the rebounding, because some teams, they miss a lot of shots in the game, they can get a lot of offensive rebounds. You guys shot 64% and you still grabbed 16 offensive rebounds. Have you ever seen a game like that where you're able to dominate the boards like that?
No, I think Jaden just told me that this was the largest defeat in the history of this series. You got to dominate in all facets, right? To be able to score 100 and only give up 58, you got to make shots, you got to get turnovers, you got to rebound. I didn't pay attention to that at all, Jason, throughout the game. That's a pretty staggering difference in rebounding, 40-20. Credit to our guys. I thought Adlin, Darren Collison, the announcer there from CBS, great player at UCLA, a part of those unbelievable teams, said he's just a difference maker, right? You see his length and size and his athleticism. I thought Drake Allen was spectacular. And then, they're smart. They went all guards, and they tried to, just run pick and rolls. And I think the unsung hero sometimes is Zach Keller, right? He can move his feet. He can keep people in front. That's what a good defense has to have, not just 4 perimeters, but Zach Keller did a great job as well moving his feet.
Mentioned Adlin, were you surprised he's able to get that block in the corner in the first half? He traveled.
He's got those go-go gadget arms, like back in the day, that character. He makes some unbelievable plays at practice that you just kind of shake your head at, but he's only going to get better. And he had a great week of prep. There's times in games I'm calling things out, and he's looking at me like I got, 2 different faces, or, he messed up a few things. So I've got to live through some of their mistakes, him and EP. But, there was a list that came out. I'm not sure if a guy from Nevada wrote it or somebody wrote it this week, and he listed about 17 different freshmen, and neither one of my guys are on the list. And they're both in our rotation on a 10-1 team. So whoever wrote that, hopefully they see now how good Adlin is and how good Elijah Perryman is.
How about Foslev just starting out with that 12 points early, and then, you had Collins come in and back him right up?
He likes Colorado State at the spectrum. He did the same thing last year, to be honest with you. He came out on fire, made shots. It's weird, But he's done, forget his play, he's done a really good job over the last 2 weeks taking ownership of the team. This is a role that is different for him. He had Darius Brown 2 years ago. He had Ian in an older group last year, and now he's kind of the guy that's got to own some of the legacy here and the history of this program, and I think that's why he's playing well. I just told his mom that he's taking more ownership, and you hear his voice throughout every huddle and every practice. But yeah, he was spectacular.
What'd you tell your team at halftime? Were you already up by 21, and then you get...
Well, we were last year too. So like the 5 returning guys were really vocal about it. Where did we jump in Ken Palm?
29, I think.
Yeah, so when you blow teams out, your numbers look great. So our guys know, we need to beat everybody we can. If we have a lead, we can't call anything off. That's the way the analytics world works. And so that means we jumped 11 spots after one game, right? You're in that top 30. You got real wins, right? I think we're 3-1 now against Quad 1 and Quad 2. We need Davidson to stay there. We need Illinois State to stay there. But, our resume is as good as anybody in the conference after 11. But we know we have 20 more games. We have 10 more weeks of basketball. And the last thing we need to do is sit around and read our clippings. But I think this is something to build on.
So you got Christmas in there, but is this a bad time then to have a...
Yeah, I wish we played tomorrow. I wish all the fans that were here we could play in about 2 or 3 days. No, I think our guys need it. We're coming back the night of the 26th, so a lot of them are flying out here in the next 3 to 4 hours, if not early tomorrow. They'll have 5 full days. We'll practice 26. We'll get moving, be a no contact type practice, and then you have 3 or 4 days to get ready for Fresno on the road. Vastly improved, and then 10 weeks of basketball. It's crazy.
You mentioned the game last year here at the Spectrum where you're up, and then you travel. Out of the 3 games you played against Colorado State, I think 5 of those have particularly great. But did you guys kind of, at least the returners, you feel like they kind of remembered last year?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think they did, and I think that's why they talked a lot, Jason, at halftime. But, there's been a lot of blowouts in these games, right? Like they blew us out twice last year. It's kind of wild, Like they came out last year in Fort Collins, I think we were down 20-2. It was incredible. So you don't want to be, ever get too high, too low, but you have to build. And you have to give kids confidence. And there's not a guy in that locker room after that group performance, that they now kind of see what, if everybody buys in, what it could be.
I want to mention Kobe King.
Yeah.
Really, really good game off. It ends up playing the most minutes for you, too.
Yeah, he doesn't miss. Great shooter. Wish he knew and could remember some of the actions better. He's got to really pick that part up. But he's a scorer. Gives you another ball handler. He can break pressure. Great athlete. And more importantly, he's a great kid. His job is to get 10 or hopefully 12. And some nights he might get 20, 25, And I think he's one of those guys that had struggled a little bit with role identity. Just go in and shoot the ball, man. You play for me, you have the green light, 10 toes on the basket, shoot it. And everybody always says, well, you know, we recruit these guys and see all these comments. Oh, he's a 31% three-point shooter. He's a 32% three-point shooter. When you spend time with guys and you give them confidence, they're going to make shots. Colby's going to make shots. MJ's going to make shots. Drake tonight made shots. Mason's numbers will go up. I think he's like 32.5 from three. You know, it's about, you know, the relationship piece and then having the confidence. So Colby's a guy that I've spent a lot of time with in my office, having a lot of conversations, and he's going to get better and better.
It's rebounding too.
Yeah, he's a great rebounder. Anything else, guys? All right, have a great Christmas. Yep.
Who's going to boys' seat?
You going?
You going up there?
No, I fly out tomorrow. You're in Blue Ridge, right?
No, I'm in Pocatello.
Oh, yeah, you're at it.
So I'm
You're at
driving
it.
4
So
hours
it's,
away.
when you going up?
Tomorrow morning.
The games.
They got